Football is a great game, and it takes a lot more than muscle and brawn to have a winning team. Fans and players both know that you must make the right moves. This means having a good game plan and knowing how to avoid injuries. Otherwise, your best players are out of the game and you lose. This is good advice, and not just for football. Take pumps, for instance. Knowing the right moves for the pump you're working with means you have the tools to do a great job and avoid injury or possibly death. In football, we use a playbook so that everybody on the team learns the plays or operations we need to perform. Each player must know the right moves from the playbook to be effective and safe. Your pump operator's playbook is the manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals for the pump being used. The manual provides the operator with the right moves to operate the pump effectively and safely. It is your responsibility to read and understand the manuals. If you do not have the manufacturer's manual for your particular pump, obtain a replacement copy from your employer, equipment dealer, or the pump manufacturer. In this video, we will cover pump safety issues and the right moves that are important for you to work safe and effectively. The major areas of concern in pump operation are pre-operation check, pump operation, pump overheating dangers, and pump maintenance. Learning the right moves for each of these areas is important to your job and your safety. Pre-operation checks are the right moves you must make before you operate the pump. Your first right move is to make sure you have the manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals for the pump you're working with. You should read this and keep it with the pump. Allow only qualified personnel to install, wire, and operate the pump and motor. Your next right move is to carefully inspect the pump. Check and make sure all guards and shields are in place. Never operate a pump without the guards and shields. Check and tighten any loose bolts, nuts, and fittings. Make sure all safety warning tags and stickers are visible on the pump. Check the pump's oil level and add only the manufacturer's recommended oil as needed. Make sure fuel lines are in good condition and securely fastened, and avoid overfilling the fuel tank. Next, place the pump in an accessible location as close as possible to the fluids to be pumped. The pump should be level and secure. Shore the pump up if necessary so that it is level and in line with the suction and discharge lines. This will reduce vibration, and the pump will operate more efficiently and safely if it is level and secure. When moving pumps, use only lifting equipment that is in good repair and has the capacity to handle the weight of the pump. Pumps with full suction and discharge lines attached are extremely heavy. Drain the lines to reduce weight. When using electrically powered pumps, make all electrical connections and installations in accordance with national, state, and local electrical codes. The pump's control box must be mounted in a vertical position. Electrical pumps must be grounded. Before grounding the unit to a pipe, know what the pipe carries. Never use a gas pipe for electrical grounding. The right move here is to refer to the pump's operating manual for correct grounding procedures. Always be sure to connect the pump's electrical motor to the right phase and electrical voltage. Do not run the pump if voltage is not within the required limits. This is important for submersible pumps as well. Before operating, check the pump's direction of rotation. A pump operating in the wrong direction can cause the impeller to unscrew and damage the pump casing. If the circuit breaker or fuse is tripped, the right move is to determine and correct the problem before attempting to start the pump. If you are having a problem with a battery engine-driven pump, do not attempt to jump start it. It could explode. The right move is to check the pump's manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals. Just like a football team, there are different pumps for different fluids. Always check with the pump's manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals before starting the pump. Pump only the liquids that the pump is designed to handle. Pumping gasoline or other volatile liquids with a pump not designed to handle them is extremely dangerous and is inviting hazardous consequences. Operating with the suction or discharge closed will cause the pump to severely overheat, which can cause the pump damage and create an unsafe operating condition. Before operating the pump, the right move is to make sure the hoses are not kinked and are protected from collapsing, and check that the suction and discharge lines are open. Finally, position the suction strainer so they will not draw in debris or solids. Now that you've prepared for the game, it's time to get on the field and play. Operating a pump requires knowledge of the pump, so always read the pump manufacturer's, operators, parts and maintenance manuals first. Only experienced personnel should operate the pumps. If you are new to pump operation, get an experienced operator to work with you. In football, each team that you play provides new challenges, as does each pump and location you work in. Here are some right moves to make for each pump operation. Make sure the pump is level and secure. Never operate a self-priming pump unless the volute is filled with liquid. The pump will not prime dry, so no liquid will be pumped and the pump will overheat. Make sure the valves are open. Operating against a closed valve will also cause the pump to overheat. Check the suction strainer regularly to keep it free of debris. When shutting down high head pumps, throttle back slowly. Make sure the bypass line is open, close the check valve, and if there is a gate valve, close it slowly. Then the pump is ready to be shut down. When not in use, all pumps must be drained completely in freezing weather or severe damage to the pump may occur. Like specialty teams in football, submersible pumps are made for a specific and difficult purpose. All football players know that while all plays are similar, there are differences, and new plays require some study. This is true with each new pump you use. So always refer to the manufacturer's, operators, parts and maintenance manuals. The right moves to use on submersible pumps are: when moving pumps, use only lifting equipment that is in good repair and has the capacity to handle the weight of the pump. Pumps with full suction and discharge lines attached are extremely heavy. Drain the lines to reduce weight. Make sure you have the correct voltage power for the unit and are using the proper manufacturer's control box. Never raise or lower a submersible pump by its power cable. Check the rotation on three-phase pumps so the impeller doesn't unscrew and damage the pump casing. Never set the pump directly on a soft, loose bottom. If the pump's overload control trips off, do not hold the reset button. Wait for 10 minutes to pass before resetting. With any electrically driven pumps, make sure the electrical power coming to the pump is dead and locked out before performing any maintenance. Always practice OSHA lockout, tagout rules. Football players train hard and wear protective clothing to reduce risk of injury. Taking safety precautions are the right moves to protect you and those around you from serious injury and possibly death. Make the right move when dressing and never wear loose clothing that could get caught in machinery. Following confined space rules is a right move. Never work on underground pump systems by yourself. Heat and exhaust from an internal combustion pump can be hazardous. The right move is to provide adequate ventilation in confined or enclosed areas. Make provisions to pipe exhaust to the outside and or away from personnel in the work area. Always use the correct type of fuel for an engine and store the fuel in a safe container and location. Avoid overfilling the fuel tank and never refuel a hot or running engine, as a fire and or explosion could result. Tampering with the governor to increase power will create an unsafe condition by exceeding the pump's safe operating limits. Electric-powered pumps are a special safety consideration. Whenever electricity is present, there is a possibility of electrocution. The right move with electrical pumps is to always take precautions to avoid injury or death. If a circuit breaker or fuse is tripped, determine and correct the problem before attempting to restart the pump. On the field, athletes work hard to win, and to keep in the game, they must take precautions not to get overheated. This is true of pumps too. Overheated pumps are the most common source of pump breakdowns and burn injuries to pump operators. Burns are usually caused by the operator making contact with either a hot pump, its plumbing, or by making contact with a hot liquid that is being pumped. Remember, Pumps can heat up in just a few minutes and take hours to cool down. The right move here is to never open a hot pump. Once the pump is hot, there is no safe way to get into it. Always use caution when approaching a pump that has been in operation. Pumps can heat up for a variety of reasons. For example, if a pump is running in a no-flow condition, the power source will continue to put energy into the liquid in the pump, making the liquid very hot. The longer a pump runs with no liquid running through it, the hotter it gets. A similar overheating condition occurs if the suction and discharge head is too high and the pump cannot pick up the prime or is airbound. Overheating can also occur if the suction lines, strainers, or the pump itself becomes blocked with debris, preventing proper suction. A kinked or collapsed hose is a common cause of pump overheating, and hoses should be checked regularly. Do not remove the cover plate or drain plugs from an overheated pump. Allow the pump to cool, then check the pump temperature before opening the fill port or drain plug. Operator safety requires that your right move is to always assume that a pump has operated at no flow and it contains dangerously hot liquid under pressure. If the pump overheats, you must make the right move to correct the situation. Stop the pump immediately. Allow the pump to cool down completely. After the pump is cooled, slowly and cautiously vent the pump. Refer to the manufacturer's manual for correct venting and before restarting the pump. A winning football team requires attention to detail on and off the field. Players need to keep in shape and their equipment must be kept in tip-top condition. The same is true for pumps, and operators need to read the manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals to properly maintain the pump for it to work safely and efficiently. When receiving a new pump, check it thoroughly at delivery for any shipping damage. Then, read the manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals for proper setup and operation. Never assume it operates like some other pump. Before working on pumps with electric motors and panels, always lock the control handle in the off position. And at all times, use proper OSHA lockout, tagout procedures. If the control cannot be locked, pull the main fuse and make sure the related electrical circuits are dead and locked out. And next, remove any V-belts before performing maintenance. When maintaining pumps with combustion engines, always follow the manufacturer's recommended maintenance procedures. Always disconnect and isolate the spark plug before performing maintenance and while making any repairs. Perform maintenance only when the engine and pump are cool. Use only lubricants that are in accordance with the manufacturer's maintenance program. Never tamper with the governor setting to increase power. The governor setting establishes the safe operating limits of the pump. When overhauling pumps, replace damaged or missing warning tags and labels. In freezing weather, drain the pump completely at shutdown to prevent damage to the pump. We covered a lot of information today, and it may seem complicated, but so will a football playbook to the uninitiated. The trick is to keep up to date on all new pumps. You should not operate a pump unless you have read the manufacturer's operator's parts and maintenance manuals. Remember to make the right moves and think safety first, and you too will have a winning season.